In this video, I'm sharing my go-to shortcuts that will help you edit faster in DaVinci Resolve. Starting with keyboard customization, click on the DaVinci Resolve up top here, then keyboard customization to view this window. If you've used Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, you can click up here in the drop-down to switch to those settings. The default is DaVinci Resolve, but once you make your changes here and add your new shortcuts, you can save it as a new preset and it'll show up right here. You can click around to see which key is linked to a shortcut or a feature, or you can search in commands, for example, keyboard, and it'll show up here. If there's nothing under keystroke, you can just press a key for it to show up here, or you can X out of any one of these to add your own. So the default for keyboard customization is the Ctrl+Alt+K, and I also added the second shortcut, F1. Once you're done adding your shortcuts, you can click Save and then Close. Now that you know how to customize your keyboard settings, you can move on to the edit page where you can use all of these shortcuts. If you're new to DaVinci Resolve and you create YouTube videos, here's where you spend most of your time. I'll try to follow the usual editing workflow with these shortcuts so it's not all over the place. So once you're done recording your videos and you have your clips, B-roll, and audio files all organized and in a project folder, for example here, you can drag and drop your project folder in this section here. Now to add clips to the timeline, you can click on the clip and then drag it to the timeline, or you can press P to add to the timeline. I'm pressing Alt and scroll wheel to zoom it into the timeline. So the first thing to do is the rough cuts to quickly remove the unwanted parts. So that's the filler words, silent parts of the video, or any unnecessary sections you don't need. The three shortcuts to use for the rough cuts are Ripple Start to Playhead, Ripple into Playhead, and Razor. I had those set up using Q, W, and E. So pressing Q on the timeline removes everything on the left side of the playhead, and pressing W splits the clip, or you can press E, which is into playhead, to delete everything on the right side. And then you keep on cutting until you're done with the clip. Most likely you'll be using the Q and W with the mouse for fast cuts. Before the next shortcut, you can go to the timeline, then under video, check selection follows playhead. So anytime you move the playhead over a clip, it'll select that clip under it. For example, the next two shortcuts are used to delete a clip using delete or backspace. So for ripple delete, you can press the delete key or D to delete the clip. It'll delete the clip and shifts everything on the right to the left to close the gap. Then there's S or backspace, and it deletes the clip that's selected and leaves a gap. So if you have your first three keys set up as Q, W, and E, right under it, you'll find your D and S keys. So you can go through the clip without moving your left hand and using your right hand for the mouse to move the playhead. To delete any gaps, I have it set up for H. So clicking H will remove the gap and shifts clips on the right to the left. I mostly use the backspace to avoid ripple delete. So if I add a B-roll clip here, pressing S or backspace will remove the clip instead of ripple delete. Now, if you really want to be fancy, instead of using the mouse, you can use J, K, and L. So J to play in reverse, and L to play it forward, K to stop, and the space bar can be used to play or stop. Next two shortcuts are used for markers. While you're cutting and trimming clips, a good idea is to start labeling or adding markers for chapters and comments. So after your rough cuts, you'll know exactly where to add things like the B-roll, titles, text and effects, or screenshots. Because the selection follows playhead is checked, if I press M, it'll add it to the clip itself. If you're good with that, you can keep going, or you can uncheck selection follows playhead, or create a shortcut. I use 0 to go back and forth. So now I can add a marker up top here. And then there's Ctrl+M to add a marker, plus add notes or keywords. So this, you can change the name to the chapter title or a comment, like add title text here. Ctrl+M also removes the marker, but you can also tap the marker and click delete to remove it. There's also Shift and M to edit the marker. And if you want to use the markers for chapters or timestamps, later on I'll show you what tool to use that'll automatically list the markers as timestamps. Then you can copy and paste it in the description when you're uploading the video. So the next shortcut is if you want to group your clips together for easier organization, you can create compound clips. So you can use this to combine clips, like combining a group of clips for the intro, tutorial section, tip section, or an outro. If you have a lot of clips and you notice Resolve starts to lag, you can combine the clips and that will help you speed up the playback. You can select multiple clips by dragging the mouse and then right click to select new compound clip, or press F2 and then name your clip. And now you could easily see the title of each clip when you scan through your timeline. And remember, you could use Alt scroll to zoom in or out without touching the slider here. Next shortcut is if you want to add a voiceover over a track. So the voiceover button is here. I have mine set up for F3. Change the name here, pick the audio input, and then where you want to record the track. So it could be under voice, which is track A1, or music, and that's A2. So when you're ready to record, you press the microphone here to start recording. Test 1, 2, 3. So once you're done with that, it'll also add the clip. You could edit it the same here with the Q, W, and E. This is good to use if you forgot to mention something in the video, or if you want to replace the audio with the loud background noise. Now, when you're ready to add B-roll and other things, you can deselect the auto track selector first. So anything you add won't be auto added to the main track. And then you could double click the clip you want to add. Then under the preview window, select insert video and audio, video only, or audio only. For B-roll, I'm going to select video only, and then I'll double click to scrub through the clip. And then click I for input, O for output, and then P to add it to the end of the timeline. So pressing P will add this portion only to the timeline. If you want to add the B-roll on top of the A-roll, you do the same thing with the I and O, but instead of just P, you Shift P to add it on top. If you want to replace a clip, there's F11. So for example, you click the clip, F11, and it'll replace where the playhead is placed. So there's U to insert the clip at the playhead, P to add it to the end, Shift P to place it on top, and Shift F11 to fill in the gap. Next one is adding transitions, and you'll have to set this up first before you use this shortcut. So click on Effects up top and go through the effects to find what you're looking for. You can hover over each effect to get a preview of how it will look on the clip. If you find a clip you like, you can favorite it, and it'll show up under favorites, so you don't have to search for it again. So once you find a transition you want to use, you can double click to add the effect, or drag and drop it. And then to make any changes to this effect, you click on the transition and then open up Inspector to make any changes. You can change the duration and then set it to default. And once you're done making changes, you can right click the transition to create a preset. Pro tip is to add your initials in the front so it's easy to search for under here. And if you can't find the preset you made, make sure you click the toolbox instead of the favorites. Then you add this new preset as your fave, and then you right click to set this as your standard transition. Now once it's set, you can press Ctrl+T and the standard transition will be added to your clip. If the transition is not added after clicking Ctrl+T, you can also drag and drop it or double click. Another tip is when you're adding and customizing your titles, you click on the title and then open up Inspector to make any changes, like the font family, the color, the size. And then after you're done with that, you can add it to your power bins to use it again. You can create folders like a background for background images, B-roll, effects, music. So your royalty-free music can be added here. And then you can add your text here so you can reuse it later on. Also, you can press Alt, then the clip to drag it up or drag it on the left or right to make a duplicate. And then you could edit the copy again from the inspector. And you can do that Alt and drag instead of copying and pasting. The next shortcut is to search for effects, which is a new feature in Resolve 20.1. So I have it set up as F5, and you can search for any effect here. One thing to mention, because I'm using my own keyboard presets, the default Shift Space shortcut for this new version isn't set up. So you would have to go back to keyboard customization to set it up as Shift Space or another shortcut you want to use. So for example, if you're watching a tutorial about a new feature in Resolve and the shortcut doesn't work, remember to update the shortcut to match. So you can create a new one or use Shift and Spacebar or set it up as F5. If you want to know what other features are in the new version of Resolve, you can check out this video here from Creative Video Tips. Another thing is the customized effects that you named with your initials. You can't search for yours yet, but I'm hoping they'll add that in the future. But you can search for their standard effects. So when you're done adding the B-roll, transitions, music, and effects, the next shortcut to use is Ctrl+F for Cinema Viewer. So that would be under Workspace, and then Cinema Viewer, or Ctrl+F. And that will give you the full screen. And this is where you can do your final review, but in full screen. Instead of watching it at normal speed, you can press Shift and L to double up the speed and do a quick scan. And during the quick scan or quick review, here's where you will look for mistakes like typos or missing transitions or titles. After you're done, you can press Escape to go back to your main window. I've been editing in Resolve for 7 months, and I was annoyed looking at this small screen. And this is one of the things I missed in CapCut, where you can have the full video playing on one monitor, like in Cinema Viewer, and then edit the timeline on another monitor. That feature is the video clean feed, but that's on the paid version, on the studio version of DaVinci Resolve. But there's a workaround by going to Workspace, turn on dual screen, and it'll pop up a second window. And then once you click dual screen and then full screen timeline, you'll be able to view the full timeline here. And in the second window, have the video with the folders and the power bins and then effects on this second window. So that's Workspace, dual screen, and turn on. So I have the dual screen set to F6, and then the full screen timeline set to F7. And here's what it would look like with the video and the script on the side while I edit from the main window. So I can now stay on the timeline screen to edit from the monitor in front of me, while the second window has the video. I can move to my laptop. So my workflow will be to quickly edit the audio first, then use the IOUP shortcuts to add the B-roll and other things, and then have my script on the side. And now with the F5 to search effects without clicking over on the left. I can also save this layout by going to Workspace and Layout Presets, and then save layout as a preset. So I have a preset called full screen, and then when I hit load preset, the dual screen and full screen timeline pops up. So when you're done with the final review, don't forget to grab a screenshot for your thumbnail, and you make sure you do this before you export the video so you can work on the thumbnail in Canva, for example, while it's rendering. So you will place the playhead on what you want to grab, and there are 3 ways to do this. The first one is to go under File, then Export, and then Current Frame as Still. Or you can go to the color page, right click, grab Still, and in the gallery, right click to export and save it in your folder. Or you can create a shortcut like F4 to do the same thing. Going back to the markers and timestamps, a tip I got from this video is to right click on a timeline and then timelines, then export, then timeline markers to EDL. And after you download the file, go to the YouTube chapter generator, then drag the file here to copy and paste it into the video description. Another tip from that video is to go on the timelines again, then add to render queue using a preset. So this is the preset I made from the deliver page. I used the YouTube 1080p export, made some changes, and then what you can do is click the three dots to save it as a new preset, name your preset, select the icon, and check to add it to your quick exports. And now this is the first thing you will see when you go to the deliver page. And if you want to make changes in your preset, you click on the preset, make your changes. For example, changing optimize to standard to normalize to standard, and then back to the three dots to update the preset settings. And since it's added to your quick exports, when you're ready to export, you can click this icon here and your new preset will show up here. And of course, you could set up a preset for your quick exports. I have mine set up for F8. So I went through the essentials to speed up your editing workflow, but there are a few more keyboard shortcuts you can use, like the home key. So home jumps to the beginning of the timeline, and then end, and then the end key jumps at the end. You can also use the standard shortcuts like Ctrl+S to save, Ctrl+C to copy, V to paste, Z to undo, but to redo it's Ctrl+Shift and Z. When you use Ctrl+R, the retime controls pop up, so you can change the speed to a clip, use the speed ramp, rewind, or reset the clip. You can create a freeze frame with Shift-R. You check freeze frame and then change. And this is good for pauses. And you can also stretch this out to fill in the gaps. There's also Ctrl+D to change the length of the clip. For example, 15 seconds. Then there's Shift-Control-Comma to swap the clips from right to left, or Shift-Control-Period to swap it from left to right. And if you want to bulk move or edit multiple clips, there's Alt-Y to select all the clips on the right, so you can move or make changes, or use Ctrl-Alt-Y to select all the clips on the left to move or edit. And the last shortcut is Ctrl-H. Use Ctrl-H to see the history of all the changes you made, and you can go back to any edit without having to Ctrl-Z your way back. So all of these shortcuts are added to this doc, plus some extra ones I didn't mention in the video. Is to use the Help tab to search for a shortcut just in case you forget, like adding a transition. You search for a transition, and then for add transition, it'll show up as Ctrl+T. And if you want to find other shortcuts to add or customize, you can click through the menu to see what you want to update. This is the first in the series of videos for creators on how to edit and improve your videos with DaVinci Resolve. Next videos I'm working on is a beginner's guide to editing YouTube videos, where I take you from import to export to upload to YouTube. Another video I'm working on is how to customize your workspace, like how I showed you with dual screen. And I'm also sharing exactly how I edit my videos, like how I edit long form videos and shorts. If you're interested, let me know which ones you'd like to see next in the comments. For the advanced topics, like working on the color page or Fusion, I'm going to share the tips and tricks I've learned along the way, so make sure to subscribe to get updates.